So now I want to show you how I usually approach a situation where I have a mix of exterior and interior, where the exterior is not necessarily modular, but the interior is. So you might run into this situation sometimes where you have to make the outside of a building unique because of the way the level design is. And to save time, you want to use modular pieces for the inside. So I just want to show some quick tips on how to approach this. So to start, I have a floor plan here. So let's say this is going to be a church. And this is the interior of the church. And the first thing I want to do here is build the shells, the outer shell. So let's just extrude these faces, separate, flip the faces. So this is going to be my outside. So let's raise this. I'm just making this up from imagination, so it probably doesn't make, it's not gonna make much sense, but it's gonna give the idea that I'm looking for. So let's say this is a tower. Maybe we can even separate this here. Okay, so let's just imagine that this is a church. So now how do I make sure that, let me close this too. So how can I make sure now that I can mix and match outside with the inside? Well, that's very easy. You just have to keep in mind that from the outside, you need to extrude the walls outwards, like this. Because now when you have your pieces inside, they're not gonna be Z-fighting. They're not gonna be on the same plane. So, for example, let's say that this is my modular kit for the inside. Let's just pretend that this is a basic wall. So as you can notice, I started the model from this plane, outwards, never inwards. So when I place this inside, of course I would do this in the editor and not here in Maya, but you get the idea. So now I can place this inside and I can build this interior. Without having to worry too much about the exterior. But now you're gonna have this problem. The pieces are intersecting. So the easy fix is to just extrude the faces. So let's say I can extrude this by 25 centimeters. Well, because this is a church and I want to have thick windows, I might do a ½ meter. Because now when I work on the outside of the church, I don't have to worry about the interior. So let's remove these faces too, because we don't need them. I'm going to fix this in a second. So let me hide the floor. So now we have that interior, and I also have some space here if I want to add windows, for example. Like I'm just making this up, so I'm making stuff that doesn't necessarily make much sense, but you get the idea. So let's say have these windows here. And because I have this gap, they're not gonna zip it. And of course there is a limit to how much you can have the depth, right? Because if you go too deep, and now this is a problem. Like that's a problem. So as long as you make sure that you never cross the pivot plane, you know, like you always have a little gap. You're never on the plane, because even if you're on the plane, you're gonna have a Z fighting. So you just move like a tiny bit, and now they're not on the same plane. So now you can continue to work on that. And another thing that you have to pay attention to is the door size. So make sure that you have standards. So let's say this is a huge door, 4 meters. Let's make the door 3 by 3. Oops. Okay, so now I have this door. So if you gotta make sure where you place the pivot as well, because in this case I have to go lower to place it there. But if you really want to be very specific about this, you can even put the pivot there. So now it's gonna fit that 4x4 wall. So now it's very easy. I know that my doors are 3 by 3, so I just have to make a hole here that's 3 by 3. And I can place this hole anywhere, but let's put it here. And now, how thick should we make this? Good question. Let's try like this. So now I can just place this door frame here, and this door frame is going to make the connection between the outside and the inside. And maybe we can even place it like this. So we have only one door frame. So the pivot's more like this. So now if I make a doorway piece with the hole for the door, it's also gonna work. Yeah, so that's one way to go about this. And you can even decorate this frame here if you want, or you can make bigger frames. That looks a little ridiculous, but you get the idea. Like you can hide these transitions. Maybe you have an interior door frame with some cool decorations and stuff. But with these pieces now, you can finish the environment. And then you could maybe scale this in the editor using the grid, of course. And they all match very nicely. Yeah. So yeah, that's... Oops, we didn't extrude this. So let's do this now. Oops. Okay, now I mess it up. Not those faces. Not those faces. These ones. Yeah, so now this got really thick, so we can even move them closer to here. And there you go, and they match very nicely. So this is a good way to keep things separate, you know, like you can focus on making this modular kit look awesome, and in a separate file you can make this awesome looking exterior for this church, and you know they're gonna match perfectly.